Alright. Hey, hey, make sure we're live, and it looks like we are live indeed. Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 25 of System Shock Radio. As always, I am your host, Nigel, and uh, today, before we get into what the main focus is of today, I just want to thank you all so much for 25 episodes, and it's absolutely insane. Just wow that I've come this far, or so far, but we still got a ways to go. But without further ado, let's get right into it. All right, so uh, before we get to the juicy part, we're gonna start off with last week's riddle, and it reads like this: What has one eye but can't see? And let's read it one more time. What has one eye but can't see? The answer to that, very simple, a needle. Of course, there's an eye and the needle, and I don't have a needle with me, so I can't really show you, but there's an eye and the needle, of course. You put the thread through, and that's how you sew stuff together. So, if you got that one, congratulations to you. And if you didn't get it, don't worry, because we're going to have a real next week. So, uh, with that being said, let's get right into today's topic. And it's a big one. It's the only topic I have for today, but that's because it's such a big one. And for episode 25, of course, to recap from last week, I let you all know that a few episodes ago, I talked about the Michael Jackson trial and how that went down, and some of the aspects of that. And now it's time to do the same for R. Kelly. So, Mr. Robert Sylvester Kelly, of course, is a singer, R&B singer, and he had some serious allegations against him of child pornography, leading a cult, stuff like that. But we're gonna get all into that. So, I've taken some things down here, and of course, I put down two sides. Now, me personally, I do believe that Mr. Kelly is guilty, but of course, there's two sides to every story, and so, believe it or not, there is an innocent side to this. There's a side that makes him out to be innocent. So, let's take a look. So, all I really have for it is the trial. So, in 2002, I'm just gonna switch to my notes. In 2002, in June of 2002, R. Kelly was arrested on child pornography charges, and it was alleged that he was in a sex tape with an underage girl, not just any underage girl, but his goddaughter, and of course the infamous he peed on her, and but what I found during the trial is that he was found not guilty, and I've sort of taken out why. So, one of the main reasons that he wasn't found guilty is because as it wasn't proven that it was his goddaughter in the video. Now, his goddaughter, or at the time that the tape was recorded, his goddaughter, of course, would have been underage. She would have been 14, and uh, and one of the main cruxes of it is they have to prove that that was her in the video, but ultimately they couldn't prove it was her, and they said that the girl in the video was a lot more developed than R. Kelly's goddaughter. The tape, from what I remember reading, was very unclear. It was very blurry, and they couldn't make out either person. They eventually figured out that it was R. Kelly. I think they looked at the shape of like his back and a certain mole that he had on his back, but they couldn't prove that the girl in there was his goddaughter, and the goddaughter herself indeed denied that she took part in the video. With that lack of evidence, and with the lack of testimonies coming forward saying that it was indeed her in the video, Mr. Robert Kelly was of course found not guilty. But it took them 6.5 years to reach that verdict. So, The trial began in June of 2002, and he wasn't declared not guilty until 2008. But uh, there is a lot of evidence against him being guilty. On the side of him being guilty. And one of the big ones is the R. Kelly, the Surviving R. Kelly documentary that came out last year. Now, unfortunately, I did not get a chance to watch it, but after seeing and hearing some excerpts from it, it's pretty crazy. And unlike Michael Jackson, R. Kelly is still alive, of course. So he had the chance to sort of defend himself. So he denied it, and infamously, he went on the Gayle King interview, became one of the biggest memes of last year. He basically got real defensive, got very angry, very agitated, very aggressive with Gayle King, to the point where if I was in Gayle's shoes, I most likely would have been scared. But he got very defensive with her. He got extremely upset, extremely emotional, and seemingly broke down. Now some people could see that as a defense tactic. Sorry, it's a sip of my tea, but they can see that as a defense tactic, sort of covering their track, as getting angry. You ever call someone out on a lie, and then they get angry that you called them out on that lie, and they get super defensive and everything. A lot of people said R. Kelly was doing the same thing. And one thing I noted is that, at me being a big fan of wrestling, a lot of wrestlers did the same thing. Back in like the 80s and 90s, when reporters would say, wrestling's fake, wrestling's obviously fake, the wrestlers would get very mad. There was an interview, a famous interview with Vader, where one of the reporters confronted him about wrestling being fake, and Vader, I think, punched him and said, "Did that feel fake?" So that defense mechanism is because, of course, they're defending the wrestling industry. It's not fake. They're claiming it's not fake. And to be honest, wrestling actually isn't fake. It's not real, but it's not fake. But that's a topic for another time. But R. Kelly was being defensive about the allegations being brought out upon him. And of course, this is from, they were talking about the Surviving R. Kelly documentary, which brought up some new charges against him. And one thing that I did take down is his marriage to Aaliyah in 1994. Rest in peace to her. And of course, the song "Age Ain't Nothing But a Number." I've actually listened to that song before. Or, not a bad song, but some people that might have been a hint. But apparently, in 1994, him and Aaliyah got married, and R. Kelly said that she was 18, but if you look at the date of birth and then look at the year that they were married, she was actually 15. So I did the research, maybe in a different state, because this didn't take place in New York. The legal age is 17 here in New York. And so I'm like, oh, it's a different state. Maybe it's a lower age. No, it's not. In Chicago, in Illinois, I almost said Chicago. I believe it was in Chicago, but in Illinois, the legal age of consent is 17, just like here in New York. And if I'm not mistaken, that's how it is in most, if not all, states. And both participants must be 18 to marry. So R. Kelly lied and said Aaliyah was 18 when they got married, but in actuality, they were 15. So for a lot of people, that was already the first strike against Mr. Kelly. And he didn't really mention her in his autobiography. He wrote an autobiography. I did not know that he did before researching it, but he did not mention her in his autobiography. He said he didn't really want to talk about his marriage with her, which I think is kind of weird. Like, if you guys got married and it was illegal, why wouldn't you want to talk about her? But moving on to some of the lawsuits. R. Kelly has been sued by a few different women. One of the first ones was Tiffany Hawkins, and in my notes I took down that Tiffany Hawkins sued R. Kelly for personal injuries and emotional distress in 1996. Well, she cited as personal injuries and emotional distress. They began dating when she was 15 and he was 24, and it ended 3 years later when she turned 18, according to the BBC article. well, that I researched on. She sought 10 million but settled for 25,000 in 1998. But wait, there's more. He got sued again in 2001 by Tracy Sampson, and Tracy said he controlled every aspect of her life. And then that one also settled out of court. And then there came two more lawsuits by Patrice Jones and Montino Woods. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, I apologize. But both of them sued R. Kelly in 2002. Patrice Jones claimed she was impregnated by Kelly and was forced to have an abortion. Meanwhile, Montino Woods said that when her and R. Kelly had sex, he made a sex tape without her knowing, and it got distributed amongst boot killers and went by the name R. Kelly XXX. Most of you, if not all of you, know what that means. I'm just gonna adjust the focus on my camera. This is a brand new camera, by the way, and I both love and hate it, but I'll talk about that some other time, perhaps. But both of those settled out of court as well. So, for those of you watching here, keeping score, that's 4 lawsuits in the span of about 1996 to 2002. So 4 lawsuits in the span of 6 years, all relating to sexual distress, underage sex, and 4 lawsuits. That's pretty crazy. But it gets even crazier because R. Kelly was alleged to be leading a cult. That's one of the things talked about in the Surviving R. Kelly documentary. Alright, that was one of the things talked about in the Surviving R. Kelly documentary, that he was leading the cult. And even in the interview, Gayle King brought it up, like, that 50 women apparently were talking about having a cult with R. Kelly, and she even brought up, like, not all 50 of those women are lying. Those 50 women, and some who never met, couldn't have been lying. And R. Kelly said that they were lying. They were all lying. It seemed covering his tracks. So when I said that R. Kelly had more evidence against him and for what he did than Michael Jackson, I meant it. It brought about a new trial that started last year, but it was going to move into its next phase, but of course got held off because of COVID-19. But nevertheless, that is about it. That's about all I have for it. I do have some excerpts. It's from the BBC article that I read, and I'm just going to read those. Also, it says in June 2002, he was charged over child pornography. So this is about the 2002 trial, and it reads: the star is charged with 21 counts. The star being Mr. R. Kelly. The star is charged with 21 counts of making child pornography involving intercourse, oral sex, urination, and other sexual acts. Chicago police accused him of videotaping each of these acts and enticing a minor to participate in them. All of the charges relate to one girl born in September 1984. That's his goddaughter. His arrest stemmed from a video which was sent anonymously to the Chicago Sun-Times earlier in the year. They passed it on to police, who verified the authenticity of the tape with help from FBI forensic expert. Kelly, who posted $750,000 bail, immediately denied the charges in an interview with MTV and later pleaded not guilty in court. It took them 6 years for the case to come to trial, during which time Kelly released his wildly successful Trapped in the Closet album. Really good album. Really terrible person, which sucked because I really like Trapped in the Closet, but I got just sad. But back to the excerpt. So it took 6 years to come to trial. Well, Trapped in the Closet, it was nominated for an Image Award by the NAACP, and it prompted widespread criticism because he released it in the midst of what was going on. And it seemed like R. Kelly, he was still doing a lot of stuff. Hey Nehemiah, good to see you. I'm doing great. How are you? But So it seemed that he was still doing stuff even while under investigation. He did this, and then he also did the I Admit, although I think I Admit did come out after the fact. Like, but uh, uh, he received criticism for his nomination, and of course the jury couldn't and figure they concluded that they couldn't prove that the girl on tape was a minor, and Kelly was of course found not guilty. And then there's another excerpt from the 2019 case that they were doing, the 2017 through 2019, all the stuff that happened, also as a result of the Surviving R. Kelly documentary, and even preceding that documentary. I will have the links for the articles. I will put them in the comments for this video. But nevertheless, thank you all so much for tuning in, and thank you for sticking with me through these 25 episodes. And more cases like these, I definitely find these somewhat interesting, very saddening, very disgusting, but somewhat interesting. And history's always fascinated me, and even seeing somewhat recent history, because all this stuff didn't really happen that long ago. About 20 or so years ago. Oh, so that's somewhat recent, but nevertheless, thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you all for 25 episodes. I will see you with episode 26. I will be going back to Saturday at 12 p.m. And if there is a change in schedule, I will be sure to let you all know. But right now, we're going to close out with the riddle to next week. So it reads, what is heavier, 10 pounds of cotton or 10 pounds of bricks? And let's read it one more time. What is heavier, 10 pounds of cotton or 10 pounds of bricks? I'm sure a lot of you already know the answer to that, but don't spoil it for others. But thank you all so much for watching. Thank you all for tuning in. See you all. Have a great day. Have a great week. Peace.